Engines roared and Britain's roads turned into battlegrounds as two of the most notorious motorcycle gangs, the Hells Angels and the Outlaws, clashed in a violent struggle for dominance. What followed was one of the deadliest and most infamous biker conflicts in British history. Let's dive into the blood-soaked chronicle of this fierce rivalry, the arrival of the Hells Angels. In the late 1960s, the legendary Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, originally from the United States, expanded into the United Kingdom. Known for their skull and wing logo and leather jackets, their arrival sent shockwaves through the British motorcycle scene, which was already at its peak during a period of social rebellion. However, the Hells Angels were not the only group seeking control of Britain's roads. The Outlaws, another notorious biker gang, had either already established a presence in the UK or would do so in the following decades. The exact timeline is unclear. Some reports suggest they arrived before the Hells Angels, while others place their emergence in the UK as late as the 1980s. Early tensions, Hells Angels versus the Outcasts. Interestingly, the rivalry between the Hells Angels and the Outlaws didn't begin directly. Initially, tensions rose between the Hells Angels and a group called the Outcasts, who were affiliated with the Outlaws. In 1997, the Outcasts attempted to form a powerful alliance by partnering with another club, the Lost Tribe MC. However, the Lost Tribe chose to align with the Hells Angels instead. This decision significantly escalated tensions between the factions. The Rocker Reunion Incident, 1998. Hostility reached a peak in 1998 during a biker event called the Rocker Reunion. Held in a large auditorium, the gathering turned violent. The Hells Angels appeared to be preparing for an attack, and in the resulting chaos, two members of the Outcasts were fatally injured. This brutal incident reignited long-standing hostilities and triggered a series of violent confrontations between the groups. Law enforcement intervention. Authorities kept both groups under close surveillance in an effort to prevent criminal activity and maintain public safety. Despite increased law enforcement pressure, the battle for control of the British biker scene continued. The Bulldog Bash murder, 2007. The conflict escalated once again in 2007 during the Bulldog Bash, an annual event organized by the Hells Angels and one of Europe's largest biker gatherings. During the event, Outlaws members carried out a targeted attack, resulting in the murder of Hells Angel member Jerry Tobin. The killing intensified police focus on biker gangs. The attack was believed to be a planned retaliation, potentially ordered by senior Outlaws leaders abroad. Some speculated that the Hells Angels had intentionally held the event in territory claimed by the Outlaws to provoke a confrontation. Detective Constable Steve Cox, a longtime investigator of biker gangs, testified during the Tobin murder trial. He stated that the Outlaws considered areas like Warwickshire, Stratford-upon-Avon, South Wales, Derbyshire, Birmingham, and London as part of their territory. The violent feud between the Hells Angels and the Outlaws has left a deep mark on Britain's biker subculture. Despite heavy law enforcement efforts, their rivalry persists, underscoring the dangerous and often deadly world of outlaw motorcycle clubs. Another violent incident tied to the long-standing rivalry between the Hells Angels and the Outlaws occurred overseas. Detective Superintendent Ken Lawrence, who led the murder investigation for Warwickshire Police, stated, "I believe they wouldn't carry out something like this without higher-level approval. Given the consequences, such actions require planning and permission. The roots of this bitter conflict stretch back to the late 1960s. According to Lawrence, tensions between the two gangs escalated dramatically after a serious incident in the U.S., where a member of the Outlaws sexually assaulted the wife of a Hells Angel. That event ignited decades of animosity and retaliation. In the lead-up to the 2007 Bulldog Bash, an annual motorcycle event hosted by the Hells Angels, documents were submitted to a local council's licensing committee, warning of the potential for violence. These reports described how the ongoing feud between the Hells Angels and the Outlaws had become a cycle of revenge, with one particularly gruesome case involving the murder of 3 Hells Angels whose bodies were dumped in a quarry in Florida. Warwickshire police submitted evidence to the Stratford-upon-Avon Licensing Authority, arguing that the Bulldog Bash could pose a serious risk to public safety. One incident cited was the 2001 shooting of a Hells Angel on the M40 motorway while he was leaving the Bulldog Bash. He was shot 3 times in the leg, an attack strikingly similar to the murder of Gerard Tobin in 2007. At the time, it was believed the shots came from a dark-colored vehicle, but the victim chose not to pursue an official complaint. Law enforcement also referred to other incidents around the world to show the global scale of the rivalry. One example was a 2006 murder in New Hampshire, where a member of the Outlaws, reportedly responsible for security, killed a man simply for wearing a Hells Angels shirt. Despite the extensive history of violence, the exact motive behind Tobin's murder remains unclear. The secretive nature of outlaw motorcycle gangs makes it difficult for police to uncover their internal operations. Witnesses and victims are often unwilling to cooperate, leaving investigators without clear answers. "They don't talk to us," Lawrence said, "so we're left in the dark about the reasons behind these attacks." It's hard to link anyone shooting to a specific event because these incidents happen so frequently. At the time of Tobin's murder in August, related events were occurring in Sweden and North America. Whether the murder was connected to those events remains uncertain. Lawrence believes that the Outlaws chapter in South Warwickshire may have been instructed by senior leaders to carry out the attack, as the Bulldog Bash was held in what the Outlaws consider their territory. The Outlaws Motorcycle Club was founded in the United States in 1935 and now operates around 200 chapters worldwide. The violent rivalry between the Hells Angels and the Outlaws remains one of the most enduring and deadly conflicts in British biker history. Despite repeated efforts by law enforcement to contain their activities, the struggle for dominance continues to leave its mark on the country's motorcycle subculture. Although the most visible clashes have faded from public view, the legacy of this biker war still resonates within the outlaw motorcycle world, a world where grudges are rarely forgotten and violence remains an ever-present threat.